I want to remind you today that God has a plan for your life. It's not a plan of confusion, fear, or uncertainty. It's a plan of hope, purpose, and divine timing. Sometimes we look at our lives and wonder why things aren't happening the way we expect it. We pray, we believe we do our best, yet it feels like we're stuck in the waiting room of life. But I want you to know that God is never late. He's never behind schedule. His timing is always perfect. You may not see it right now, but every delay, every closed door, and every unexpected turn is leading you closer to the destiny He has prepared for you. The scripture says in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." That means before you were even born, God already laid out the blueprint of your life. He knew every challenge you would face, every victory you would celebrate, and every moment where you would have to trust Him completely. But here's the challenge. We often get impatient. We want things to happen on our timeline. We pray and expect instant results. When it doesn't happen, we start questioning, "God, did you forget about me? Have you abandoned me? Why are things taking so long?" But I want to encourage you today, just because you don't see anything happening doesn't mean God isn't working behind the scenes. Just because the answer hasn't come yet doesn't mean God has denied your request. Sometimes He's preparing you for what He has prepared for you. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He had a dream that one day he would be in a position of great influence. But before that dream became reality, he was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and placed in prison. For years, it looked like nothing was happening. It seemed like God had forgotten about him. But what Joseph didn't realize was that in every setback, God was setting him up for something greater. The very things that looked like obstacles were actually stepping stones leading him to his destiny. Maybe you're in a place right now where you don't understand why things are taking so long. You've been praying for a breakthrough, believing for a promotion, trusting God for a relationship, but nothing seems to be moving. Let me remind you, just because you don't see it doesn't mean God isn't working. He's aligning the right people, opening the right doors, and putting everything in place. He knows when you're ready. He knows when the situation is ready. And when it's time, no force on earth can stop His plan from unfolding. You don't have to try to force things to happen. You don't have to live frustrated, wondering when it's going to work out. God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are beyond what we can imagine. If He is making you wait, it's because the blessing He has in store for you is worth the wait. He's growing your faith. He's developing your character. He's strengthening you so that when you step into what He has promised, you'll be ready to handle it. Think about an eagle. Before it takes flight, it sits in the nest, waiting for the right moment. The mother eagle knows that if the baby eagle tries to fly too soon, it won't have the strength to soar. So she waits. She allows the eagle to grow stronger, to develop its wings, to build endurance. And when the time is right, she pushes the eagle out of the nest, and it begins to soar. That's what God is doing in your life. You may feel like you're in a waiting season, but God is strengthening your wings. He's preparing you to soar higher than you ever imagined. Sometimes the delays we face are not denials. They're divine protections. God is keeping you from something that isn't right for you. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and thank Him for not answering certain prayers the way you wanted. You'll see that His plan was far greater than anything you could have imagined. Maybe you've been praying for a certain job and the door keeps closing. Maybe you've been believing for a relationship, but things aren't working out. Instead of getting discouraged, start thanking God. Thank Him that He's in control. Thank Him that He knows what's best. Thank Him that He's directing your steps. When you release control and trust in His timing, you're showing God that you have faith. Abraham and Sarah had to wait years for their promised child. They tried to take matters into their own hands, and it only led to frustration. But when they finally surrendered, when they stopped trying to force it and trusted God's timing, the promise came to pass. If God has put a dream in your heart, if He's given you a vision for your future, don't give up just because it's taking longer than expected. The delay doesn't mean denial. It means God is getting everything in place. When you trust God's timing, you can live in peace. You don't have to be anxious. You don't have to wonder if things will work out. You know that at the right time, God will bring the right opportunity, the right people, and the right breakthrough. It may not happen the way you thought, but His way is always better. I want to encourage you today. Keep believing. Keep standing in faith. Keep trusting that God's plan for your life is unfolding in the perfect way. Even when you don't see it, even when it feels like nothing is happening, know that behind the scenes, God is orchestrating something greater than you could ever imagine. The waiting season is never wasted. It's a season of preparation, of growth, and of positioning for what's next. The waiting season is never wasted. It's a season of preparation, of growth, and of positioning for what's next. When you look back at your life, you realize that the moments when you had to wait, when things didn't seem to be moving, were actually the moments when God was working the most. He was shifting things in your favor, putting the right people in place, and aligning your steps with His perfect will. So often, we get caught up in what hasn't happened yet. We focus on what we don't have, on the prayers that haven't been answered, on the dreams that seem so far away. But God is saying, trust me. I see the bigger picture. I know the perfect timing. You may not understand it now, but every closed door, every delay, and every unanswered prayer is setting you up for something far greater than you could ever imagine. Maybe right now, you're facing a season where it feels like nothing is happening. You're praying, believing, standing in faith, but you don't see any movement. Let me encourage you, just because you don't see it doesn't mean God isn't working. He's moving behind the scenes, arranging things in your favor, preparing you for the next level. The delay is not a denial. It's a divine setup for something greater. Think about David. He was anointed to be king at a young age, but he didn't step into that position right away. He had to go through years of preparation, facing battles, overcoming obstacles, and proving his faithfulness. He could have gotten discouraged, thinking, God, you said I was going to be king. Why is it taking so long? But David understood that God's timing was perfect. He didn't try to force things to happen. He didn't get bitter. He didn't walk away from God's promises. He stayed faithful in the waiting, and at the right time, God elevated him. Maybe you're in a place right now where you feel like you're being overlooked. Others are getting promoted, getting married, stepping into their calling, and you feel like you're stuck in the background. But let me tell you, just because you're hidden doesn't mean you're forgotten. Just because you don't see progress doesn't mean God isn't positioning you. There's something powerful about trusting God when you don't understand. When you say, God, I don't know why it's taking so long, but I trust you. I believe your plan is bigger than mine. That's when you position yourself for favor. There's a story in the Bible about the Israelites. God had promised them the land of Canaan, a land flowing with milk and honey. But instead of taking them straight there, He led them through the wilderness. What should have been an 11-day journey took 40 years. Why? Because they weren't ready. They had the wrong mindset. They were complaining, doubting, and focusing on what they didn't have. And because they wouldn't trust God's timing, they missed out on what He had for them. Don't let that be your story. Don't let impatience rob you of your destiny. You may not see the full picture now, but God knows what He's doing. If He's making you wait, it's because He's preparing something greater than what you had in mind. You have to come to a place where you trust Him so completely that even when things don't make sense, even when the doors don't open, even when it feels like nothing is changing, you still say, God, I trust you. I know you are working all things together for my good. Think about Noah. God told him to build an ark because a flood was coming. It had never rained before, and people thought he was crazy. But Noah didn't question God. He didn't say, God, are you sure? This doesn't make sense. No, he trusted God's plan even when he didn't understand it. For years, he kept building, kept preparing, kept believing. And when the flood finally came, he and his family were safe because he had obeyed. Maybe right now, God is asking you to build something. Maybe He's telling you to prepare, even though you don't see any signs of what's coming. People may not understand. They may question you, criticize you, laugh at you. But you have to trust that if God told you to do it, He has a reason. Keep building, keep preparing, keep believing. Because when the time is right, God is going to open doors that no one can shut. One of the greatest tests of faith is trusting God when you don't have all the answers. It's easy to trust Him when everything is going smoothly, when the finances are there, when the opportunities are lining up. But real faith is trusting Him when nothing makes sense. When you're waiting, when you're wondering, when you're tempted to doubt. That's when your faith is being strengthened. The enemy wants you to get discouraged in the waiting. He wants you to start questioning God's goodness, to start doubting His promises. But you have to make up your mind that no matter how long it takes, you're not going to lose faith. You're not going to let fear, frustration, or impatience take over. You're going to stand firm knowing that God is faithful. There are some things in life that only God can do. You can't force the right doors to open. You can't make certain opportunities happen. But you can position yourself by staying faithful, by keeping the right attitude, by refusing to give up. When you do that, you're showing God that you trust Him, and He will reward your faithfulness. I've learned that sometimes God delays things because what He has planned is bigger than what we imagined. If He gave it to us too soon, we wouldn't be able to handle it. The blessing would be too much. So He takes us through a process, through a season of stretching, of growing, of learning to depend on Him. And when the time is right, He brings the breakthrough, and we realize that every moment of waiting was worth it. Think about a farmer. He plants the seeds, waters them, takes care of them, but he doesn't see the harvest right away. He has to trust that beneath the soil something is happening. Even when he doesn't see any signs of growth, he knows that in the right season the harvest will come. That's how it is with God's timing. You may not see anything happening right now, but beneath the surface, He's growing something in you. He's strengthening your faith. He's preparing you for what's ahead. You have to trust that when it's time, your breakthrough will come. When it's time, the right door will open. When it's time, the promise will be fulfilled. Until then, keep being faithful. Keep showing up. Keep believing that God's plan is greater than anything you could ever dream of. You may have moments where you feel like giving up, where you wonder if God is really hearing your prayers. But let me remind you, God is not a man that He should lie. If He said it, He will do it. If He promised it, it will come to pass. It may not happen when you want it to, but it will happen at the right time. God is saying, trust me. I've got you in the palm of my hand. I know what I'm doing. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm leading you to something greater. You don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to have all the answers. Just trust in the one who does. He's working, He's moving, and He's leading you to a place of blessing beyond anything you could ever imagine. You may not realize it, but right now, God is arranging things in your favor. He is positioning you for the breakthrough, for the opportunity, for the answered prayer. You may not see anything changing, but that doesn't mean He's not working. What He promised is still on schedule. The people you need to fulfill your destiny are already lined up. The resources, the favor, the open doors, they are on their way. During the day that you are not aware, the night. But here's the key. You have to trust His timing. If you get impatient and try to make things happen in your own strength, you may step outside of His best. Sarah and Abraham made that mistake. God promised them a child, but when years went by and nothing happened, they decided to help God out. Sarah told Abraham to sleep with her maidservant, Hagar, so they could have a child. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but it wasn't God's plan. That decision led to hurt, strife, and division in their family. When God gives you a promise, it's not your job to figure out how it will happen. It's not your job to force it to come to pass. Your job is to trust, to believe, and to stay faithful. God doesn't need your help to fulfill His word. He doesn't need you to manipulate circumstances or try to open doors that He hasn't opened. When it's the right time, He will make it happen, and it will be better than anything you could have arranged. Maybe you've been praying for a breakthrough, believing for a promotion, standing in faith for a dream to come to pass. You've done everything you know to do, but nothing is happening. You're tempted to get discouraged, to start doubting, to question whether it's ever going to work out. But let me remind you, just because it's taking time doesn't mean God has changed His mind. Delay does not mean denial. There's a reason for the wait. Sometimes God is protecting you from something you can't see. Sometimes He's strengthening your character so you'll be ready for what's ahead. Sometimes He's making sure all the pieces are in place so that when the door opens, you will walk into it with confidence. Look at Joseph. God gave him a dream that he would be a leader, that he would rule over nations. But instead of stepping right into that position, Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and later put in prison for something he didn't even do. If anyone had a reason to question God's timing, it was Joseph. He could have thought, God, I had a dream. I know you called me. Why is this happening? But Joseph didn't give up. He didn't let the delays cause him to lose faith. He stayed faithful where he was. He kept honoring God, kept serving with excellence, kept believing. And at the right time, after years of waiting, Joseph was promoted to second in command over all of Egypt. What if Joseph had given up in the prison? What if he had let discouragement talk him out of his destiny? He would have never seen the fulfillment of what God had promised. Some of you are in a waiting season right now. You've been faithful, you've been doing the right thing, but it feels like you're stuck. Nothing is changing. You're wondering, God, when is it going to happen? Let me encourage you. Don't lose faith. Don't give up just because it's taking longer than you expected. The same God who was faithful to Joseph, who turned his situation around overnight, is the same God who is working in your life. At the right time, in a moment, God will shift things. One phone call, one divine connection, one idea, one opportunity, and suddenly everything will change. The years of waiting, the struggles, the disappointments, they will all make sense. You will look back and say, now I understand why it had to happen this way. The enemy will try to convince you that nothing is happening. He'll whisper, if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. But God's timing is not our timing. A delay is not a defeat. A waiting season is not a wasted season. God is using this time to prepare you, to grow you, to strengthen your faith. He is molding you into the person you to be for the blessing He has prepared. Sometimes God withholds things from us because He loves us too much to give them to us too soon. Think about a child who wants to drive a car. They may be eager, excited, convinced they are ready. But a loving parent won't hand them the keys until they are mature enough to handle it. It's not that the parent doesn't want them to have the car, it's that they want them to have it at the right time when it won't destroy them. In the same way, God has amazing things in store for you. but He's not going to release them until He knows you're ready. If He gave you the promotion too soon, you might not have the character to handle the pressure. If He gave you the relationship before you were emotionally healed, it might not last. If He gave you the opportunity before you were prepared, it might overwhelm you. God knows what He's doing. He is a God of perfect timing. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. If He's asking you to wait, it's because He's preparing something better than what you had in mind. The delay is not punishment. It's preparation. It's God's way of getting you ready for what He has in store. While you're waiting, don't get discouraged. Keep your faith strong. Keep praising. Keep believing. Keep expecting. Speak life over your situation. Declare, God, I know you are faithful. I may not see it yet, but I trust you. I believe my breakthrough is coming. When you keep the right attitude in the waiting, you are setting yourself up for a suddenly moment. God has not forgotten you. He has seen every sacrifice, every tear, every moment of faithfulness. He has heard every prayer, and He is working behind the scenes. The moment He has planned for you is already on the calendar. At the right time, you're going to see His favor, His breakthrough, His increase. You don't have to figure out how it's going to happen. You don't have to manipulate things or make it happen in your own strength. Just be still and know that He is God. Trust that He is leading you, guiding you, and working all things together for your good. If you stay in faith, if you keep believing, if you don't let the enemy talk you out of it, then at the right time, the promise will come to pass. What God has spoken over your life will happen. The waiting will be worth it. The delay will make sense, and you will step into the fullness of everything He has planned for you. The breakthrough is coming. The doors will open. The healing will manifest. The opportunity will come. Keep trusting, keep believing, and keep expecting, because your time is on the way. You might be facing challenges right now. You may be battling sickness, financial difficulties, or feeling stuck in life. But I want to tell you, don't let your circumstances dictate your future. You are not at the mercy of life's ups and downs. You are a child of the Most High God, and He has a plan for you that will not be thwarted by any obstacle or setback. God has a destiny for you, and that destiny is filled with promise, favor, and blessings beyond what you can imagine. But you have to walk by faith, not by sight. You have to trust that even when things look bleak, God is working on your behalf. The Scripture says we walk by faith and not by sight. And the Scripture says, Imgan elavon ayashenu. It's easy to walk by faith when everything is going well, when your plans are unfolding perfectly, when your dreams are coming true. But the true test of faith comes when things aren't going according to plan, when life throws unexpected twists your way. That's when you have to trust that God is still in control. That's when you have to remind yourself that His plan is better than your plan, and His timing is better than your timing. You see, faith is not just believing that God can do something. It's believing that He will. It's trusting that He is working in the background even when you can't see the evidence. Faith is believing that your breakthrough is coming even when the road ahead looks uncertain. It's choosing to trust God's plan for your life, even when you don't have all the answers. And God will never leave you in the dark. He promises in His Word that He will direct your steps. Proverbs 3:05, Zoe 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight." It doesn't say that you'll always understand what's going on. It doesn't say that everything will always be smooth and easy. But it does say that if you trust in Him, He will guide you, He will make your path straight. That means no matter how winding or difficult the road may seem, God will direct you. He will lead you to where you need to be. He will open the right doors and close the wrong ones. You may not see it now, but trust that He is working behind the scenes. Just because you can't see the answer doesn't mean He hasn't already worked it out. There are times in life when you will face things that are beyond your understanding, things that don't make sense, things that challenge your faith. But I want to encourage you today, when you don't understand, you don't have to panic. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to get anxious. All you have to do is trust. Trust that God has a plan. Trust that He is faithful. Trust that He will make everything work together for your good in His perfect timing. I know it's not always easy. I know it's not always comfortable. Sometimes you feel like you've been waiting forever. But let me remind you, God doesn't waste anything. The seasons you're in right now, the challenges, the struggles, they are not wasted. God is using them to prepare you for what's ahead. What you are going through today is part of His plan to shape you into the person you need to be. If you find yourself in a waiting season, don't get discouraged. God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. You are in His waiting room. And in this waiting room, He is doing something deep inside of you. He is strengthening your faith. He is building your character. He is developing your patience. He is teaching you to trust Him more. And when you come out of this season, you will be stronger, wiser, and more prepared to handle the blessings that are coming your way. You see, the waiting season is not a season of stagnation. It's not a season of wasted time. It's a season of preparation. God is working in you, shaping you, molding you, making you ready for the things He has for you. Don't rush through it. Don't try to skip ahead. Embrace the process. Stay faithful where you are. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Keep praising. You may not understand it all right now, but trust that God has a purpose in the waiting. He's making sure you're ready for the next level. And when He opens the door, you'll be ready to step into everything He has prepared for you. In the meantime, I encourage you to keep your heart in a place of gratitude. You may not have everything you want yet, but you have everything you need. You may not see the breakthrough yet, but you have God's favor on your life. You may not be where you want to be, but you are closer than you were yesterday. And while you wait, thank Him for what He's doing in you and around you. Gratitude is a powerful thing. It shifts your perspective. It reminds you of how far you've come and how much God has already done in your life. It keeps your heart in a place of faith. It reminds you that God is good, that He is faithful, and that He has not forgotten you. One of the greatest things you can do while you wait is to keep your focus on God's promises. Don't focus on the delay. Don't focus on what's not happening. Focus on what God has already promised you. Remember His word. He says He will provide for you. He says He will heal you. He says He will open doors that no man can shut. He says He will restore what has been lost. Focus on those promises. In Philippians 4:6-7, the Apostle Paul writes, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This scripture tells us not to be anxious about anything. I know it's easier said than done, but if you can trust God's plan, you can experience peace in the waiting. When you trust that God is working on your behalf, when you trust that He is arranging things in your favor, you can rest, you can relax, you don't have to worry. Let me tell you, God's peace is powerful. It's not the kind of peace the world offers. It's not the kind of peace that comes from having everything figured out or knowing how things are going to turn out. It's the kind of peace that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, God is in control. When you have that kind of peace, you can endure the waiting season. You can keep your joy. You can keep your praise. You can keep your faith. You don't have to let the uncertainty of the future rob you of the peace God has already given you. Remember, God is faithful to His promises. He will fulfill what He has spoken over your life. His plan is bigger than any setback. His timing is perfect. Trust that He is working in your life even when you don't see it. Keep believing, keep trusting, keep praising. The breakthrough you've been waiting for is on the way. The promises God has made will come to pass. And when it does, you will look back and see how God has been working behind the scenes, making all things beautiful in His time. Trust His time, and He is never late. He is always right on time. In this world of ours, we often feel powerless, victims of circumstance and fate. But I tell you now, this is the greatest illusion of all. For within you resides the power to create, to manifest, to bring forth your deepest desires into tangible reality. This power is not something to be earned or acquired, but a gift bestowed upon you by the very nature of your existence. Consider for a moment the vast universe that surrounds us, the infinite stars, the boundless galaxies, the intricate dance of planets and celestial bodies. All of this, every atom and particle, is but an expression of the divine imagination. And you, my dear friends, are cut from the same cloth, your imagination incarnate a living, breathing expression of God's creative power. Now, you may ask, if I possess such power, why does my life not reflect my desires? The answer, my friends, is simple yet profound. You have been using this power unconsciously, unaware of its true nature and potential. Your current circumstances, be they joyous or challenging, are but the fruits of your past imaginings. To harness this God-gifted power, we must first understand its nature. It is not something external to be grasped or manipulated, but an internal state to be realized and embodied. This power responds not to your conscious wishes or fleeting desires, but to the deepest convictions of your heart and mind. Imagine, if you will, a seed planted in fertile soil. This seed contains within it the blueprint of a mighty oak tree. It does not struggle or strain to become a tree. It simply unfolds according to its nature, drawing nourishment from its environment. In the same way, your desires contain within them the seeds of their own fulfillment. Your task is not to force them into being, but to provide the fertile soil of your consciousness for them to take root and flourish. The first step in this process is to cultivate awareness. Become acutely conscious of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, for these are the building blocks of your reality. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold is a seed planted in the garden of your life. What harvest are you currently reaping? As you become aware of your inner world, you may discover thoughts and beliefs that do not serve your highest good. Limiting beliefs, self-doubt, fear, these are the weeds that choke the light from your desires. But do not despair, for just as you have the power to create, you have the power to transform. The next step is to harness the power of your imagination. For imagination is the language of the divine, the very substance of creation. When you imagine, you are not engaging in mere fantasy or daydreaming. You are in fact shaping the very fabric of your reality. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your ideal life. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your ideal life. See it in vivid detail. Feel the emotions associated with living that life. Hear the sounds, smell the scents, taste the flavors of your desire and reality. As you do this, you are not merely visualizing, you are experiencing your desire in the realm of imagination, which is the womb of physical manifestation. But imagination alone is not enough. For your imaginal acts to bear fruit in the physical world, they must be coupled with unwavering faith. Faith, my friends, is not blind belief in the unseen. It is the conviction of the reality of the imagined state. When you have true faith, you do not hope for your desire to manifest. You know with absolute certainty that it is already yours. This knowing, this unshakable faith, is the key that unlocks the door to your desired reality. For you see, in the realm of the divine, there is no past, present, or future. All exists in an eternal now. Therefore, when you imagine your desire fulfilled and feel the reality of it, with every fiber of your being, you are in that moment, experiencing it as an accomplished fact. The power of this realization cannot be overstated, for when you truly understand and embody this truth, you cease to strive and struggle. You no longer feel the need to manipulate external circumstances or control others to achieve your goals. Instead, you rest in the calm assurance that your desire is already yours, and that the outer world must conform to this inner knowing. This, my dear friends, is the state of living from the end. It is a state where you no longer pray to a distant God for your desires to be fulfilled, but instead you pray from the consciousness of the wish fulfilled. You give thanks not for what you hope to receive, but for what you know you already possess. Living from the end requires a fundamental shift in consciousness. It calls for you to abandon your old identity, your old story, and step fully into the version of yourself that has already achieved your desire. This is not pretense or make-believe. It is a recognition of your true nature as a divine being capable of shaping reality through the power of consciousness. As you embrace this new state of being, you may find that the outer world seems slow to catch up. This is where patience and persistence come into play. Remember, just as a seed takes time to sprout and grow into a mighty tree, your imaginal acts need time to bear fruit in the physical realm. During this period of gestation, it is crucial to maintain your faith. Do not waver in your conviction, no matter what your physical senses may tell you, for the outer world is but a shadow, a reflection of past thoughts and beliefs. Your task is to hold steadfast to your new state of consciousness, knowing that the outer must inevitably conform to the inner. This process of manifestation is not about forcing change or manipulating circumstances. It is about aligning yourself with the natural flow of divine creation. Just as a river does not struggle to reach the ocean, but flows effortlessly along the path of least resistance, your desires will manifest with ease and grace when you align yourself with the divine flow. To maintain this alignment, it is essential to cultivate a sense of gratitude. Gratitude is not merely a polite sentiment, but a powerful creative force. When you are truly grateful, you are acknowledging the presence of your desire in your life. You are affirming its reality even before it manifests in the physical realm. Practice gratitude not just for what you can see and touch, but for the unseen blessings that are even now unfolding in your life. Give thanks for the wisdom that guides you, the love that surrounds you, and the power that resides within you. As you do this, you open yourself to receive even greater blessings. Another crucial aspect of harnessing your God-gifted power is to release attachment to outcomes. This may seem counterintuitive, for how can you manifest your desires if you are not attached to them? But attachment, my friends, is born of fear and lack. It is a subtle affirmation that you do not yet possess what you desire. Instead, cultivate a state of allowing trust in the wisdom of the divine to bring your desires to fruition in the perfect way and at the perfect time. Your job is not to orchestrate the how and when of manifestation, but to hold the energy of your desire with unwavering faith and joyful expectation. As you practice these principles, you may find that your desires begin to shift and evolve. This is natural and to be welcomed. For as you align yourself more fully with your divine nature, your desires will naturally align with your highest good and the highest good of all. Do not be afraid to dream big, to desire greatly. The power within you is infinite, capable of manifesting realities beyond your wildest imaginings. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. As you tap into this divine creative force, use it wisely and with love. For you see, this power is not given to you for selfish gain or to dominate others. It is bestowed upon you as a sacred trust to be used in service of the greater good. As you manifest your desires, consider how your fulfilled wishes can bring light, love and joy not just to yourself, but to all those around you. Imagine a world where every individual recognizes and harnesses this God-gifted power. a world where each person lives from a state of abundance, love, and joy. This, my friends, is not a utopian fantasy, but the very reality we are called to create. As you step into this new understanding of your divine nature and creative power, you may encounter resistance, both from within yourself and from the world around you. This is to be expected. For centuries, we have been conditioned to believe in our limitations, to see ourselves as separate from the divine and powerless to shape our reality. But I tell you now, these beliefs are nothing more than illusions, shadows cast by the light of truth. They have no power over you unless you give them power through your belief. When you encounter such resistance, do not fight against it. Instead, observe it with detachment, recognizing it for what it is, the last gasp of an old paradigm that no longer serves you. Remember, what you resist persists. By fighting against limiting beliefs or challenging circumstances, you are inadvertently giving them power and prolonging their existence in your reality. Instead, turn your attention fully to the new state you wish to embody. Feed it with your faith, nurture it with your imagination, and watch as it grows stronger, eventually displacing the old. This process of transformation is not always easy or comfortable. It requires courage to let go of the familiar, even when the familiar no longer serves you. It demands faith to step into the unknown, trusting in the unseen. But I assure you the rewards are beyond measure. As you begin to live from this new state of consciousness, you may find that your entire perception of the world shifts. What once seemed impossible becomes probable. What was once a struggle becomes effortless. You begin to see the hand of the divine in every aspect of your life, guiding you, supporting you, conspiring in your favor. This shift in perception is not just a pleasant side effect of manifesting your desires. It is, in fact, the very key to sustained success and fulfillment. For when you see the world through the eyes of the divine, you recognize the inherent abundance and perfection of all that is. You cease to operate from a place of lack of fear and instead move through life with grace and ease. In this state of divine perception, synchronicities abound. You find yourself in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, encountering the perfect opportunities. This is not mere coincidence, but the natural result of aligning yourself with the flow of divine creation. As you continue to practice living from the end, imagining your desires fulfilled and embodying the consciousness of your ideal self, you may find that the very nature of your desires evolves. What once seemed important may fall away, replaced by deeper, more meaningful aspirations. This, too, is part of the journey. For as you align more fully with your divine nature, your desires naturally come into harmony with your highest good and the highest good of all. You begin to desire not just for yourself, but for the betterment of all humanity. Imagine, if you will, a world where every individual recognizes and admits this God-gifted power, a world where each person lives from a state of abundance, love, and joy, where competition gives way to cooperation, where fear is replaced by faith, and where lack is transformed into plenty. This, my dear friends, is not a utopian fantasy, but the very reality we are called to create. And it begins with you here and now, recognizing and claiming your divine nature and creative power. As you step into this new understanding, you become a beacon of light in the world. Your very presence becomes a testament to the transformative power of living in alignment with divine truth. Others will be drawn to your light, curious about the source of your peace, your joy, your unwavering faith. And here lies your greatest opportunity for service. For as you share your understanding, as you demonstrate through your own life the reality of these principles, you become a catalyst for global transformation. You become an instrument of divine will, playing your unique part in the grand symphony of creation. But remember, dear ones, this is not about proselytizing or forcing your beliefs upon others. It is about living your truth so fully, so joyfully that others cannot help but take notice. It is about being a living example of the power of imagination, faith, and divine alignment. As you continue on this path, you may encounter moments of doubt or uncertainty. This is natural and to be expected, for you are navigating uncharted waters, breaking free from the limitations of conventional thinking and stepping into the boundless realm of divine possibility. In these moments, return to the basics. Remind yourself of your true nature as an expression of the divine. Reconnect with the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Reaffirm your faith in the unseen reality that is even now taking shape in your life. And above all, be patient and kind with yourself. This journey of awakening and manifestation is not a destination to be reached, but a continuous unfolding. Each day brings new opportunities for growth, for deepening your understanding, for expanding your capacity to receive and express divine love and creativity. Remember, the power you are learning to harness is not something external to be acquired or achieved. It is your very essence, the core of your being. You are not becoming something you are not. You are simply remembering who you truly are. As you embrace this truth, you may find that your entire approach to life shifts. Instead of seeing challenges as obstacles to be overcome, you recognize them as opportunities for growth and expansion. Instead of fearing change, you welcome it as a sign of your evolving consciousness. You begin to see every experience, every interaction, every moment as a gift, a precious opportunity to express and experience your divine nature. Even seeming setbacks or disappointments are recognized as stepping stones, guiding you towards greater alignment with your true self and your highest good. In this state of divine awareness, you no longer need to seek happiness or fulfillment from external sources. You recognize that true joy lasts in peace and boundless love arises from within, from your connection to the divine source of all being. This inner wellspring of joy becomes the foundation of your life, informing every thought, word, and action. You no longer act from a place of need or lack, but from a place of fullness and abundance. Your relationships deepen, your work becomes more fulfilling, and your impact on the world grows exponentially. As you continue to live from this expanded state of consciousness, you may find that your very presence becomes a transformative force in the world. Without effort or intention, you begin to uplift those around you, inspiring them to recognize and claim their own divine nature and creative power. This, dear ones, is the ripple effect of living in alignment with divine truth. As you transform your own life through the power of imagination and faith, you create a field of possibility that touches everyone, everything around you. Imagine the collective impact if each one of us were to fully embrace and express our divine nature. The world as we know it would be transformed overnight. Conflict would give way to cooperation, scarcity to abundance, fear to love. This is not a far-off dream, but a very real possibility. And it begins with you here and now, choosing to live from the consciousness of your divine self, choosing to see the world through the eyes of love, choosing to use your God-gifted power to create a life in a world that reflects the highest truth of who you are. As we draw this discourse to a close, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on what you've heard. Allow these truths to sink deep into your being, to take root in the fertile soil of your consciousness. Remember, the power to manifest your desired life is not something you need to acquire or develop. It is your birthright, your inherent nature as an expression of the divine. Your task is simply to awaken to this truth, to align yourself with it, and to live from it with unwavering faith and joyful expectation. Begin today. Choose one desire, one aspect of your life that you wish to transform. See it clearly in your mind's eye. Feel the reality of it with every fiber of your being. Give thanks for it as if it were already accomplished. Then release it to the divine wisdom that orchestrates all of creation, trusting that it will manifest in the perfect way and at the perfect time. As you do this, pay attention to the subtle shifts in your consciousness. Notice how your perception of yourself and the world around you begins to change. Observe the synchronicities that begin to appear in your life, guiding you towards the fulfillment of your desire. Remember, this is not a one-time exercise, but a new way of being. It requires practice, patience, and persistence. There may be moments of doubt or confusion along the way. When these arise, return to the truth of your divine nature. Reconnect with the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Reaffirm your faith in the unseen reality that is even now taking shape in your life. And above all, be kind and compassionate with yourself as you navigate this journey of awakening and manifestation. Celebrate each step forward, no matter how small it may seem. For each moment of alignment, each act of faith, each expression of gratitude is a powerful affirmation of your true nature and a step towards the full realization of your divine potential. As you continue to practice these principles, you will find that manifesting your desires becomes increasingly effortless. It becomes less about doing and more about being the version of yourself that has already achieved your desire, being in alignment with the diamond flow of creation, being an expression of love, abundance, and joy. Remember, dear ones, you are not separate from God, but an individualized expression of the divine itself. The power to create, to manifest, to transform is not something outside of you, but the very essence of who you are. As you awaken to this truth and learn to live from it, you become a powerful force for good in the world, a beacon of light guiding others towards their own divine nature. Go forth now with the knowledge of your true nature and power. Embrace your divine identity as the creator of your reality. Imagine your desires fulfilled, feel the emotions of achievement, and live from that state of consciousness. Your faith, coupled with divine imagination, is the catalyst for transformation. Remember, manifestation is not about force, but alignment with the divine flow. Cultivate gratitude, release attachment to outcomes, and trust in perfect timing. As you evolve, your desires may shift. Welcome this as part of your spiritual growth. Use this power responsibly, considering how your manifested desires can benefit others. Envision a world where everyone recognizes their divine nature, creating a reality of abundance, love, and joy for all. When facing doubts or challenges, return to these core principles. Be patient and kind with yourself as you deepen your understanding and expand your capacity to receive. Your journey of awakening is ongoing. Each experience is an opportunity to express your divine nature. Find joy and fulfillment within, letting it inform your thoughts and actions. As you align with divine truth, you become a transformative presence, inspiring others to recognize their own power. This ripple effect has the potential to change the world. Start today. Choose one desire, visualize it clearly, feel its reality, and give thanks for its fulfillment. Observe the shifts in your consciousness and the synchronicities that guide you. Practice consistently being compassionate with yourself along the way. Celebrate each step forward, knowing that every moment of alignment affirms your true nature. Remember, you are an expression of the divine. The power to create and transform is your essence. As you live from this truth, you become a beacon of light, guiding others to their own divine nature. Go forth and create the life you desire, knowing that as you do so, you contribute to the elevation of all humanity. Your journey of divine manifestation begins now. Embrace it with joy, faith, and the unshakable knowledge of your true, limitless nature. There is a presence within you greater than any obstacle you face, mightier than any storm you endure. This presence is not outside of you, nor is it separate from you. It is the very essence of your being. You have been conditioned to believe in struggle, in fear, in doubt, but today you are being called to release it all. Let go of the weight you have carried for too long, for it is not yours to bear. The very thing you are worried about is already resolved in the unseen. The moment you surrender your worry, you open the door for divine intervention. You do not need to struggle, to beg, or to plead. God does not require desperation. He requires trust. He does not respond to fear. He responds to faith. What you hold in your mind, you hold in your hands. And if your mind is filled with doubt, fear, and worry, you will see more of the same in your life. But if your mind is filled with trust, with certainty, with the knowing that all is well, then your world must reflect this truth. You are not placed on this earth to suffer, to be lost, to feel abandoned. You are a child of the divine, an expression of the infinite, and you have within you the power to shift everything. The same power that created the heavens and the earth moves through you now. It is waiting for you to acknowledge it, to believe in it, to rest in its certainty. The battle is not yours to fight, for the victory has already been won. So the answer exists before the question is even asked. Look around you. Every star, every wave, every blade of grass exists in perfect order. There is no chaos in creation, no randomness in divine design. If the entire universe is held together by perfect harmony, how much more are you cared for? How much more are you seen, guided, and loved? You have been taught to measure your life by what your eyes can see, but what is seen is only a reflection of what is unseen. The truth is, the moment you ask, it is given. The moment you knock, the door is open. You are not alone. You have never been alone. Every moment of your life, God has been leading you even when you could not see it. Every hardship, every delay, every closed door was guiding you towards something greater. The divine plan is unfolding even now, and it is greater than anything you have imagined. Do not be deceived by appearances. What looks like an ending is only a beginning. What seems like loss is merely a passage to something better. Today, let go of the need to control, to overthink, to force things into place. Stand still and know that He is God. When you surrender, miracles begin. When you rest in faith, the path is made clear. When you believe, all things become possible. The burdens you carry are lifted. The fears that have weighed you down dissolve. The solution is already here. It is done. It is finished. Now, all you must do is trust. There is nothing in your life that is beyond the reach of God's power. Nothing too broken, nothing too lost, nothing too far gone. The mind has been trained to believe in limitations, in obstacles and impossibilities. But God knows no such thing. What you call a problem, He calls an opportunity. What you see as a delay, He sees as perfect timing. What you feel is overwhelming is nothing in the presence of the infinite. And so today you are being called to step out of worry and into trust. The mind will tell you that if you do not worry, you are being irresponsible. That if you do not struggle, you are not trying hard enough. But what if the opposite were true? What if your very effort, your very worry is the thing standing in the way? What if the moment you surrender, you allow the floodgates of heaven to open? You are being asked to do something radical, to trust that all is well even when your senses tell you otherwise, to direct your mind and to know that all your senses, let them know where you are. If you really believe in what you cannot yet see, to hold on to the knowing that the same God who brought you this far will not abandon you now. There is a divine intelligence that orchestrates all things. It knows the way when you cannot see it. It has prepared a path when you feel lost. It has already answered before you even asked. But worry blinds you. It clutters your mind with doubt and fills your heart with fear. Worry is a thief. It steals your peace, your joy, your clarity. And yet, it changes nothing. Not once has worry solved a problem. Listen and listen in action. Not once has anxiety made a way where there was none. But trust has moved mountains. Trust has parted seas. Trust has made the impossible possible. The problem is not that God is not working in your life. The problem is that you are looking in the wrong direction. You are searching with your physical eyes instead of your spiritual ones. You are measuring progress by what you can touch instead of what is already unfolding in the unseen. What you seek is already here, but you must align yourself with it. And alignment does not come through worry. It comes through faith. Have you ever noticed how effortlessly the sun rises each morning? It does not struggle. It does not force its way through the darkness. It simply appears as it was designed to do. This is how your blessings will come effortlessly, naturally, in perfect time. But only if you allow it. Only if you stop resisting. Only if you stop doubting what has already been promised to you. Everything that is happening in your life right now, even the things you do not understand, is part of a greater plan. The delays are not denials. The closed doors are not punishments. The detours are not mistakes. They are all pieces of a divine masterpiece, one that is being woven together in ways far beyond your comprehension. And when you finally see it come together, when you finally witness what God has been preparing for you all along, you will understand why you had to wait, why certain things had to fall apart, why certain people had to leave, why certain prayers seemed unanswered. But in truth, no prayer ever goes unanswered. Every word you have ever spoken, every silent cry, every whispered hope has been heard, and not only heard, but answered. The answer exists even now, but it is waiting for you to receive it. And you cannot receive with hands that are clenched in fear. You cannot receive with a heart that is burdened with doubt. You must release. You must open yourself to the truth that God is not just with you. He is within you. And within Him there is no lack, no struggle, no failure. What if you lived today as if everything you needed was already on its way? What if you spoke as if the solution was already here? What if you carried yourself with the confidence of someone who knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that their prayers had already been answered? Would you still worry? Would you still stress? Or would you walk in peace, knowing that all things are unfolding exactly as they should? There is a reason you are hearing this message today. There are no accidents in the divine order of things. God is speaking to you, calling you to a higher way of being. You have been trapped in worry for too long. You have allowed fear to take up residence in your heart for too long, but no more. Today is the day you release it. Today is the day you choose faith over fear. Do not wait for circumstances to change before you find peace. Do not wait for everything to make sense before you trust. Faith does not wait for evidence. It creates it. Faith does not need proof. It is the proof. And the moment you embody this faith, the moment you live in the certainty that God has already solved, your reality will shift. What once seemed impossible will become effortless. The doors that once felt locked will swing open. The path that once seemed unclear will be illuminated. You are closer than you think. The breakthrough is not ahead of you. It is within you. The moment you stop seeking outside of yourself, the moment you stop doubting, you will see it. God has already made a way. You do not need to fight for it. You do not need to earn it. You only need to believe. And when you do, everything will change. You have been searching for answers, trying to find solutions, trying to figure out how everything will come together. But the answer has never been outside of you. The answer has been within you this entire time. God has already spoken. He has already declared victory over your life. He has already set things in motion. And nothing can stop what He has ordained for you. You do not need to chase after what is already yours. You do not need to struggle for what has already been given. The only thing required of you is belief. And belief is not just a fleeting thought. It is a deep inner knowing, an unshakable conviction that no matter what appears before you, the truth remains unchanged. The truth is that you are taken care of. The truth is that you are guided, protected, and provided for. The truth is that the same power that created the universe is within you, working through you, unfolding every detail of your life in perfect harmony. Worry is a habit, and like all habits, it can be broken. You have become so accustomed to anticipating problems, preparing for disappointments, and expecting delays that you have unknowingly conditioned yourself to live in a state of fear. But you were not created to live this way. You were not created to dwell in anxiety, to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. God never asked you to figure it all out. Chocanus came away. God never asked you to figure it all out. He never asked you to fix everything on your own. He only asked you to trust. When a child is in the arms of a loving parent, they do not worry about what will happen next. They do not question if they will be provided for. They simply rest in the certainty that they are safe. That is the kind of trust you are being called to embody. A trust that does not waver, a trust that remains steady even when the winds of life are strong, a trust that knows without a doubt that everything is already taken care of. Look back at your life. How many times have you thought that things were falling apart, only to realize later that they were actually falling into place? How many times have you feared the worst, only to be met with unexpected blessings? How many times have you doubted, only to later see that God had been working all along? If He did it before, He will do it again. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. His promises have not changed. His power has not diminished. His love for you has not wavered. Right now, you may not see the way forward. You may not understand how things will come together, but that is not your concern. Your concern is to align yourself with the truth. Your concern is to hold fast to faith. Your concern is to speak only what you desire to see, to think only thoughts of victory, to dwell only in the certainty that all is well. Do not let the noise of the world distract you. Do not let the opinions of others shake your confidence. Do not let temporary circumstances convince you of a false reality. What you see with your physical eyes is fleeting, but what is unseen is eternal. What is unseen is what matters most. You are standing at the threshold of transformation. Everything you have been asking for, everything you have been hoping for, is waiting for you to step into alignment with it. The moment you stop doubting, the moment you stop resisting, the moment you release the need to control, the floodgates will open. You will see with clarity what has been there all along. You will realize that you were never waiting on God. He was waiting on you. The struggle ends the moment you decide it does. The burden lifts the moment you let go. The solution appears the moment you believe it is already done. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where you desire to be, and that bridge is already built. You only need to walk across it. Every delay you have faced has served a purpose. Every challenge you have encountered has strengthened you. Every hardship you have endured has prepared you. Nothing has been wasted. Not a single tear, not a single prayer, not a single moment of uncertainty has been in vain. It has all been working together for your good. And when you finally see the full picture, when you finally understand the divine plan that has been unfolding all along, you will stand in awe of how perfectly everything has been arranged. There is no need to fear what is ahead. There is no need to worry about how things will unfold. There is no need to question whether you are worthy of receiving the blessings that have been prepared for you. You are worthy because He has made you worthy. You are chosen, you are favored. You are loved beyond measure. Let today be the day you decide to trust completely. Let today be the day you release every doubt, every fear, every hesitation. Let today be the day you stand in the fullness of faith, knowing that what you have asked for is already on its way. Not tomorrow, not someday in the distant future, but now, in this moment, because the moment you believe, it is done. Close your eyes and breathe in this truth. Let it fill every part of you. Let it settle into your heart and take root in your soul. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And you never will be. Everything you need is already yours. Everything you desire is already unfolding. And all that is required of you is to receive. The universe is already moving in your favor. Every force in existence is aligning to bring forth what has been promised to you. There has never been a delay, only preparation. There has never been denial, only divine timing. The moment you recognize this truth, the weight you have been carrying will dissolve, the worry that has gripped your mind will release its hold, and peace will take its place. Then, very short, you will finally understand that nothing was ever missing. Everything was always unfolding exactly as it should. You have prayed, you have asked. But have you truly received? Have you truly stepped into the knowing that what you desire is already done? Or have you been waiting, hoping, hesitating? There is a difference between wanting something and living as though it is already yours. God does not respond to desperation. He responds to faith. Faith is not begging. Faith is not pleading. Faith is the unwavering certainty that what has been spoken will come to pass. But look around you. Everything you see was once unseen. Every breakthrough you have experienced was once a prayer. Every blessing you have received was once just a thought. And yet, here you are, standing in the reality of what was once only a vision. What makes you think that the next miracle will be any different? What makes you believe that God has suddenly stopped working on your behalf? He has not stopped. He has not forgotten. He has not changed. When a farmer plants a seed, he does not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. He does not question whether it will bear fruit. He does not doubt the process. He simply trusts, waters the soil, and waits in confidence, knowing that in due time the harvest will come. That is the kind of faith you are being called to embody. A faith that does not waver. A faith that does not question. A faith that stands firm regardless of what the physical eyes can see. You were never meant to struggle. You were never meant to live in a state of fear, uncertainty, or lack. These are illusions, temporary distractions from the greater truth that resides within you. The truth is that abundance is already yours, healing is already yours, breakthrough is already yours. But you must accept it, you must claim it, you must stand in the fullness of faith and say, it is done. Every time you doubt, you delay. Every time you fear, you push away what is rightfully yours. Every time you focus on the problem, you strengthen it. But when you shift your focus, when you turn your attention to the certainty of God's provision, when you align yourself with the divine order of the universe, everything begins to flow effortlessly. The walls that once seemed impenetrable crumble. The barriers that once stood in your way dissolve. The doors that once seemed closed swing wide open. You have been conditioned to believe that you must strive, that you must fight, that you must struggle for what is already freely given. But what if you simply let go? What if you released every ounce of resistance and surrendered to the flow of divine grace? What if you stopped worrying altogether and stepped fully into trust? It is not your job to know how. It is not your job to figure out when. Your only responsibility is to believe, to trust so completely that there is no room for fear, to have such certainty that even in the darkest moments you stand unshaken, knowing that the light is already on its way. God is not limited by time. He is not bound by circumstances. He is not restricted by what appears impossible. What seems like a mountain to you is nothing more than a pebble in the hands of the Almighty. What seems like an obstacle to you is nothing more than an illusion waiting to dissolve. But you must allow it. You must step out of the way and let divine order take over. Worry is an act of distrust. It is a sign that you have not fully surrendered, and yet surrender is the key. Surrender is not giving up. It is rising above. It is choosing to release the burden and allow the highest power to work on your behalf. It is standing in stillness, not because you are powerless, but because you know that the greatest power in existence is already moving through you. The moment you stop resisting, everything will shift. The answers you have been seeking will appear effortlessly. The solutions you have been searching for will present themselves without struggle. The opportunities you have been waiting for will come knocking at your door. Because it was never about effort. It was never about force. It was always about alignment. When you align yourself with truth, the world around you must conform. When you align yourself with faith, reality has no choice but to mirror that faith. When you align yourself with divine timing, everything falls into place with precision, ease, and perfection. You do not need to chase. You do not need to beg. You only need to receive. Receiving is not passive. It is an active choice. It is the choice to trust when everything in you wants to doubt. It is the choice to believe when the world tells you otherwise. It is the choice to stand firm in faith, knowing that what has been promised is already yours. The noise of the world will try to distract you. The doubts in your mind will try to shake you. The circumstances before you will try to convince you that nothing is changing. But that is only a test. That is only a temporary illusion designed to strengthen your resolve. Do not waver. Do not give in to fear. Hold your ground and know that everything is working. This is not the time to question. This is not the time to hesitate. This is the time to step fully into faith, to declare with absolute certainty that all things are being made right, to move forward with the confidence that the way is already prepared, to live as though you have already received, because in truth you have. The moment you truly believe is the moment everything changes. Not tomorrow, not next week now. Because faith does not operate in time. It operates in the eternal now. The moment you decide that you are free, you are free. The moment you decide that you are healed, you are healed. The moment you decide that your breakthrough has come, it has already arrived. You have spent enough time worrying. You have spent enough time doubting. You have spent enough time waiting. Now is the time to step fully into trust. Now is the time to release every fear, every hesitation, every ounce of resistance. Now is the time to stand in the absolute knowing that God has already made a way. Breathe in the truth of these words. Let them settle deep within your spirit. Let them dissolve every lingering doubt. Let them replace every fear with certainty. You are safe. You are loved. You are provided for. And everything you have been asking for, everything you have been seeking, is already on its way. Not because of what you have done, not because of how hard you have tried, but because you are a child of God and He has already declared it to be so. It is finished. It is done. And now, all that remains is for you to receive. The power that created the heavens and the earth is the same power that flows through you now. It has never left you. It has never been distant. It has never withheld anything from you. But you have been taught to look outside of yourself, to search for solutions in the world, to believe that your answer lies somewhere beyond your reach. That is the great illusion. The truth is, everything you seek is already within you. That every solution, every breakthrough, every blessing, it is already yours. But you must awaken to this knowing. You must stop waiting, stop doubting, stop believing that you are separate from the divine source that sustains all things. When you pray, do you pray from a place of lack or from a place of certainty? Do you beg for what is already yours, or do you give thanks knowing that it is already being granted? This is the difference between faith and fear. Fear prays as if God is far away. Fear prays as if there is uncertainty in the outcome. But faith prays with gratitude. Faith does not ask, it claims. Faith does not wonder. It knows. And the moment you shift from hoping to knowing, everything changes. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You were never meant to live in anxiety, stress, or fear. These things are not of God. These things are not your natural state. Your natural state is peace. Your natural state is joy. Your natural state is complete and total trust. And when you return to this state, the entire universe bends to meet you where you stand. Doors open effortlessly. Opportunities arise where before there were none. Solutions present themselves without struggle. Because the moment you align with divine truth, the entire fabric of reality must shift to reflect that truth. You have spent so much time trying to control, trying to fix, trying to make things happen. And yet you have not realized that the very act of trying is resistance. The moment you release, the moment you surrender, the moment you let go of the need to figure everything out, you will see that it was never your burden to carry in the first place. God does not need your struggle. He does not need your effort. He simply needs your trust. Look at the birds of the air. They do not worry about where their next meal will come from, and yet they are fed. Look at the lilies of the field. They do not toil, and yet they bloom in perfect beauty. If God so perfectly provides for them, how much more will He provide for you? You who are made in His image. You who are His beloved creation. You who are already held in His hands. Amen. But still you worry. Still you fear. Still you believe that you must take matters into your own hands, as if the one who created all things is not capable of guiding your steps. And yet each time you let go, each time you release your grip, each time you surrender the illusion of control, you find that life moves with perfect ease, that the answers come, that the solutions appear, that the weight lifts, that at last remonstrates that you were not meant to live in a state of waiting. You were meant to live in a state of receiving. And receiving does not require effort. It requires faith. It requires you to stop questioning, stop hesitating, stop wondering whether or not God is working on your behalf. Because He is. He always has been. He always will be. The only thing standing in your way is your own resistance. The moment you release it, everything will flow. The moment you stop doubting, everything will unfold. The moment you trust completely, you will see that the very thing you have been seeking has been seeking you all along. It has been waiting for you to align with it, to step into the certainty of existence, to claim it as already done. There is no delay in the kingdom of God. There is no hesitation. There is no lack. These are illusions of the human mind, distractions that pull you away from the deeper truth that you are already whole, already provided for, already held in the perfect love of God. And the moment you wake up to this truth, the moment you embody it fully, the world around you will shift in ways you never thought possible. You do not need to understand how. You do not need to see the full picture. You only need to trust. And trust is not something that wavers. Trust is not something that changes with circumstance. True trust remains unshaken even when the world gives every reason to doubt. True trust stands firm even in the face of uncertainty. True trust knows that beyond every obstacle there is a greater plan unfolding, a plan that is already set in motion, a plan that cannot fail. God is not waiting to bless you. He has already blessed you. God is not withholding your breakthrough. It is already done. God is not testing you to see if you are worthy. You are already chosen. The only thing left for you to do is believe it, to step fully into this knowing, to release every last bit of doubt, and step into the certainty that all is well, that all has been taken care of, that all is unfolding exactly as it should. Every time you worry, remind yourself that worry is a choice. Every time you doubt, remind yourself that doubt is an illusion. Every time you feel fear creeping in, remind yourself that fear is nothing more than a false story your mind has created. And in that moment, choose faith instead. Choose to trust, choose to believe, choose to know with every fiber of your being that God has already made a way. There are no accidents in your life. There are no mistakes. Everything that has happened, everything that is happening, everything that will happen, it is all part of a divine design, a perfect orchestration that is leading you exactly where you need to be. And when you stop fighting it, when you stop resisting it, when you stop trying to force things to happen on your own, you will see that everything is already in motion. Everything is already flowing. Everything is already done. It is time to step out of the struggle. It is time to step out of the fear. It is time to step fully into the knowing that you are already held, already loved, already taken care of. It is time to stop looking for signs, stop asking for reassurance, Stop questioning whether or not God is working in your life. He is. He always has been. He always will be. And the moment you stop questioning, the moment you stop doubting, the moment you stop hesitating and simply trust, you will see that everything you have been waiting for has been waiting for you. You do not need to earn your blessing. You do not need to prove yourself worthy. You do not need to struggle for what has already been freely given. You only need to receive it. And receiving is not about effort. It is about surrender. It is about releasing every last ounce of fear, every last drop of doubt, every last trace of resistance, and stepping fully into the knowing that it is already done. Everything is working out for you. Every detail is being arranged in your favor. Every challenge is preparing you for the blessing that is already on its way. And when you truly understand this, when you truly embody this, when you truly stand in the fullness of faith without wavering, you will see that God has already solved it, that every prayer has already been answered, that every need has already been met, that everything you have ever desired has already been given. Now, the only thing left is for you to trust, to believe, to step into the certainty that you are already taken care of, to let go of every doubt, every fear, every hesitation, and finally rest in the truth that it is done, that it has always been done, that it will always be done. And the moment you do, you will see that the very thing you were searching for was never far away. It was never out of reach. So it was always here. It was always yours. It was always waiting for you to simply believe. So now stand firm in your faith. Release every burden, every doubt, every fear. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. And you are not alone. God has already gone before you, preparing the way, aligning every detail, orchestrating every moment for your highest good. You do not need to struggle. You do not need to figure it all out. You simply need to trust. Trust that the answer is already within you. Trust that the solution is already unfolding. Trust that God has already solved it. And as you walk forward with this knowing, as you let go and surrender fully, you will see miracles unfold before your very eyes. You will see doors open that no man can shut. You will see blessings chase you down. And you will finally understand that all along, everything was working together for your good. It is done. It has always been done. Now simply believe.